You bake banana bread for your granddaughter's birthday, hoping for a smile, and your son hands you a legal eviction notice instead. Have you ever stood in a backyard full of laughter, yet felt completely invisible? I gave him that house, paid it off with my own hands after my husband passed. I moved into the garage suite so he could raise his family, and now he forged my signature and told me, "You never did anything for me." I worked double shifts to put him through school, skipped meals, missed birthdays. Now I'm a burden? But I'm not just a mother cast aside. I'm a woman who turned heartbreak into action. Stay with me. You'll see how I expose the lie he thought I'd never catch, how I reclaimed the home he tried to erase me from, and how I lit the truth on fire right in front of his guests. He shoved me, but I played the recording. "She won't suspect a thing," he said. They all heard it. And suddenly, they stopped laughing. If you've ever been dismissed by the very child you gave your life to, don't scroll. This might be the story that reminds you just how powerful you are. Before we begin, I'd love to know a little something about you. Are you watching from your cozy living room or maybe sipping tea in bed tonight? Leave a 1 in the comments if you're relaxing at home, or 2 if you're out and about. I'll be sending a little greeting your way in the next episode based on your answer. Now, take a deep breath with me, and let's step into my story. I carried my banana bread to Lily's party, expecting warmth. Nathan's cold stare hit me instead. The Tampa sun beat down on my shoulders as I stepped into Nathan's backyard, the spring air thick with humidity and barbecue smoke. Farmers' market balloons bobbed in the breeze, their reds and blues bright against the green lawn. Tables held pitchers of iced tea, condensation dripping onto checkered cloths. Laughter rang out, but it felt distant, like I was peering through a window at someone else's life. My hands gripped the warm pan of banana bread, its sweet scent a comfort. I'd baked it last night, stirring memories of Nathan as a boy, licking batter from the spoon. Back then, his grin lit up my world. Now, at 40, he barely glanced my way. I scanned the crowd, hoping for a nod, a smile, anything to feel I belonged. Nathan stood by the grill, flipping burgers, his jaw tight. Lauren, his wife, flitted between guests, her smile sharp as a knife. "Evie, no need for extras," Lauren said, her voice cutting through the chatter as I set the bread on a table. Her eyes flicked to my pan, then away, like it was nothing. "We've got plenty." My chest tightened. I'd spent hours perfecting that bread, thinking of Lily, my granddaughter, who loved it. I forced a smile, my lips trembling. "Just thought it'd be nice," I murmured. Nathan didn't look up, his spatula scraping the grill. Guests milled around, their voices a hum, oblivious to the sting of Lauren's words. I smoothed my blouse, recalling late-night shifts at the library, saving every penny for Nathan's college. After Daniel's death, it was just us. I gave him everything, my youth, my dreams, the house we stood in now. I'd signed it over to him when I moved into the guest suite above the garage, my hips still aching from that fall. I thought it was love. But Nathan's cold stare, Lauren's snap, they made me feel like a stranger. I wandered to the edge of the party, my sandals sinking into the grass. Lily spotted me, her 15-year-old face lighting up. She ran over, her ponytail bouncing, and wrapped me in a hug, her warmth easing the ache in my heart. "Grandma, you came," she said, pressing a crayon drawing into my hands. It showed us reading stories under a tree, her childish lines capturing our bond. "I drew this for you," she whispered, her eyes bright. I hugged her back, my throat tight. "It's beautiful, sweetheart," I said, tucking it into my purse. Carla, my old friend, sidled up, her silver hair glinting in the sun. She sipped iced tea, her gaze sharp. "Nathan's off, Evie," she said softly, her voice low. "Been that way since that condo deal flopped." I frowned, my fingers tracing the drawing. "What do you mean?" I asked. Carla leaned closer, her perfume mingling with the smoke. "He's distant, snappy, like my boy was before we stopped talking." Her words landed heavy, stirring unease. I glanced at Nathan, his shoulders hunched, his eyes avoiding mine. Was he struggling? Or was it something else? The party swirled on, kids chasing balloons, neighbors chatting. Nathan raised a glass for a toast, his voice booming. "To Lily, our pride and joy," he said, Lauren beaming beside him. Cheers erupted, glasses clinking. I waited, my heart lifting, hoping he'd mention me, the grandma who'd been there for every scraped knee, every bedtime story, but he didn't. His words moved to Lauren, to their family, as if I wasn't standing there, my sacrifices invisible. My breath caught, a quiet pain spreading through me. I turned away, my eyes stinging, and headed toward a table to pour some tea. Nathan's phone lay there, screen glowing. A text flashed. "Finalize the transfer soon." My hands shook, the picture wobbling. Transfer? What was he transferring? The words blurred, my pulse racing. I felt like a guest in my own family, my love a shadow no one saw. I set the picture down, my fingers trembling, and glanced back at Nathan. His laugh grated, too loud, too forced. Was I ever enough for them? The question gnawed at me, sharp and raw. I'd given Nathan the house, my savings, my heart. But his cold stare, Lauren's snap, the text, they whispered I was nothing. Imagine baking your son's favorite bread, only to be told in front of everyone that you never mattered. Would you keep standing, or would your heart break right there? If you're still here, drop a 5 in the comments, because what happens next? It changes everything. I walked toward my guest suite, the hum of cicadas echoing my unease. The party's noise faded, leaving me with a sinking feeling. Something was wrong, deeper than I'd feared. I reached my mailbox, my steps slow. A legal envelope peeked out, unopened, its edges crisp. My breath hitched. What was Nathan hiding? I held it, the paper cool against my palm, my heart pounding like a drum in the quiet night. The legal notice burned my fingers. My home, my gift to Nathan, turned against me. I stood in my guest suite above Nathan's garage, the Tampa night pressing in. Jasmine drifted through the open window, its sweetness clashing with the bitter words on the page. Cicadas hummed outside, their drone masking the tension knotting my stomach. The legal notice trembled in my hands, its black ink stark. You are no longer authorized to enter the property. My property. The house I'd paid off, the one I signed over to Nathan 3 years ago when my hip gave out and I needed a place to heal. I gave it out of love, but now it felt like a chain. I sank onto the worn couch, the paper crinkling. Daniel's voice echoed in my mind. Guard your heart, Evie. He'd said it years ago, before cancer took him, when Nathan was still a boy who needed us. Did Daniel know even then that our son might turn on me? I pushed the thought away, my thumb fumbling for Nathan's number. The phone rang, then clicked to voicemail. "Nathan, it's Mom. Call me," I said, my voice thin. Silence answered, heavy as the humid air. I stared at the notice again, my chest tight. I'd worked double shifts at the library after Daniel died, clipping coupons to buy Nathan's school shoes, staying up late to bake his birthday cakes. I gave him the house so he and Lauren could build a life with Lily. Now, this paper barred me from it, like I was a trespasser. My fingers shook as I dialed Nathan again. Nothing. I set the phone down, my eyes stinging, and glanced at the framed photo on the shelf. Nathan at 10, grinning with Daniel at a fishing pier, their laughter frozen in time. The phone buzzed, startling me. Nathan's name flashed. I answered, my voice hopeful. "Nathan, what's this notice about?" His reply came cold, sharp as a blade. "It's my house now, Mom. I don't owe you anything." My heart sank, the words slicing through me. I saw young Nathan, his arms around me after a nightmare, promising he'd always love me. "But I gave it to you," I whispered. "Out of love." He scoffed. "Love doesn't pay bills." The line went dead. I dropped the phone, my breath shallow. Lauren's footsteps clicked outside my door, her shadow passing the window. I peered out, catching her stirring a glass of iced tea on their patio, her face blank. She wouldn't look at me, her silence louder than words. I remembered her tight smile when I moved in, her sighs when I brought over pies. Was she part of this? My gaze fell to the kitchenette, needing something to do. I opened the pantry, expecting comfort in its familiar jars. My peach preserves were gone, along with half my canned goods. My pulse quickened. I'd restocked last week. Someone had been here. I stepped onto the porch swing, the jasmine scent calming my racing thoughts. The cicadas' hum grew louder, blending with voices from Nathan's patio below. I leaned closer, hidden by the dark. Nathan's voice cut through, low and sharp. "We'll transfer it soon," he said, his phone pressed to his ear. "She won't know." My stomach twisted. Transfer what? The house? My savings? I gripped the swing's chain, the metal cool against my palm. The boy I'd raised, the one I'd given everything to, was planning something behind my back. Did my love build a home or a trap? The question clawed at me, raw and heavy. I'd poured my heart into Nathan, into this family, but his words, "I don't owe you anything," echoed like a verdict. I stood, my legs shaky, and walked back inside. The pantry door hung open, its emptiness a mirror of my heart. My eyes caught on a jar of jam, pushed to the back, its label smudged. It wasn't mine. Someone had been in my suite, taking what they wanted, leaving traces of their intrusion. My pantry's missing more than peaches. Who's been in my suite? My pantry was raided. Nathan's control felt like a tightening cage. The evening heat wrapped around me as I stepped into Nathan's backyard, the Tampa air heavy with humidity. Grilled chicken sizzled on the barbecue, its smoky scent mingling with the glow of string lights strung across the patio. Neighbors chatted, their voices a warm hum, but I felt trapped. Nathan's grip on my life squeezing tighter. The legal notice still burned in my mind, and the empty pantry, my peach preserves gone, whispered of intrusion. I clutched my glass of lemonade, the ice clinking, my eyes scanning for Nathan. Daniel's old photos, tucked in my album, might hold answers to Nathan's lies. I'd been meaning to look through them, searching for clues about the son I thought I knew. I spotted Nathan by the grill, his shoulders tense, flipping burgers with a scowl. Lauren stood nearby, stirring a drink, her eyes darting. I took a deep breath, my sandals crunching on the grass, and approached. "Nathan, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady despite the knot in my stomach. "About that notice." His head snapped up, eyes narrowing. "Not now, Mom," he muttered, but the neighbors turned, their chatter fading. I pressed on, my heart pounding. "It says I can't enter the house. My house, Nathan." His spatula clattered against the grill, and he stepped closer, his voice rising. "You never did anything for me," he shouted, his words slicing through the crowd. "This is my house now." My face burned, the sting of his lie sharper than the heat. Guests froze, their eyes on me. Lauren smirked, her straw pausing mid-stir, her silence a blade. I staggered back, my lemonade splashing. I'd worked double shifts, gone hungry to feed him, given him this very house after Daniel died. To hear him deny it in front of everyone was like a slap. "Nathan," I whispered, my voice breaking, "I gave you everything." He turned away, dismissing me, and the crowd resumed their murmurs, their pity worse than his cruelty. I retreated to a corner, my hands trembling. Lily, my granddaughter, slipped through the crowd, her eyes wide with worry. "Grandma, you okay?" she asked, her voice soft. She tugged me to a bench, her 15-year-old warmth grounding me. "Dad lost big on condos," she whispered, glancing at Nathan. "He's been mad all the time." My heart ached for her, caught in his storm. I hugged her, recalling her toddler days, clinging to me when Nathan was too busy. Carla joined us, her silver hair catching the light as she sipped lemonade. "Check his office, Evie," she urged, her voice low. "I lost my son to greed, too. Don't let Nathan do this." Her words, heavy with her own estrangement, lit a spark in me. I nodded, my jaw tight, remembering Nathan as a boy, dependent on my every sacrifice. School fees, homemade cakes, late-night talks. How had he become this stranger? The barbecue buzzed on, string lights swaying, but I felt apart, my anger rising. I wandered to the patio, needing air, and noticed Nathan's coat draped over a chair. My fingers brushed the fabric, and something clinked in the pocket. A key, small and cold. My pulse raced as I palmed it, its weight promising secrets. I glanced at Nathan, laughing with a neighbor, his mask back on. I'd search his office, find what he was hiding. How could my son erase my sacrifices so easily? The question seared me, fueling my defiance. I slipped the key into my pocket, the scent of grilled chicken fading as I walked to my guest suite. The hum of the party grew distant, my steps firm. Nathan's words had shamed me, but they'd also woken something fierce inside. I reached my door, the key heavy in my hand. It fit Nathan's office lock, I was sure. What was he hiding inside? The key turned smoothly in Nathan's office lock. His secrets were mine to find. The moon hung low over Tampa, its light spilling through the window of Nathan's office, casting long shadows across his desk. The air carried the faint scent of brewing espresso from a coffee shop down the street, its neon sign flickering like a warning. My heart pounded as I stepped inside, the floorboards creaking under my sneakers. Daniel's letters, hidden in my album, might hold more than memories. They might save my home. I'd been avoiding those letters since his death, but Nathan's betrayal, his cold words at the barbecue, pushed me here. I needed answers. I scanned the room, my eyes catching on Lauren's laptop, its screen glowing faintly. It was open to an email, the subject line stark. Confirm the transfer ASAP. My pulse raced, Daniel's voice echoing in my mind. Guard your heart, Evie. The email was from a lawyer urging Nathan to finalize some property deal. My property? The house I'd given him? I gripped the desk, my knuckles whitening, picturing young Nathan clinging to me after nightmares. How had he become this man plotting behind my back? I closed the laptop, my hands shaking, and slipped out before anyone noticed. I needed perspective, so I headed to the coffee shop, its neon sign a beacon in the night. The hum of conversation and clink of mugs greeted me as I slid into a booth. Carla was waiting, her silver hair tucked behind her ears, her eyes sharp. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she said, pushing an espresso toward me. I sipped, the bitter warmth grounding me, and told her about the email. She leaned forward, her voice low. "Nathan's hiding something big, Evie. My son pulled the same stunt. Greed took him from me." Her words, heavy with her own estrangement, hit hard. "You need proof," she urged. "Get a camera. Catch him." I nodded, a spark of defiance igniting. I'd been hurt, humiliated, but I wasn't helpless. Back in my guest suite, the jasmine scent from the open window mixed with my resolve. Lily knocked softly, her ponytail swinging as she stepped inside. "Grandma, you okay?" she asked, her 15-year-old eyes wide with worry. She sat beside me, her warmth a reminder of our storytelling nights. "Dad's been on late-night calls," she whispered, glancing at the door. "He sounds sneaky." My stomach twisted. Lily's loyalty, her love for my stories, anchored me. I hugged her, my voice steady. "Thanks, sweetheart." I pulled out a small security camera I'd ordered online, my fingers steady as I set it up in the corner, angled at the door. I wasn't just a mother anymore, I was a woman fighting for her place. I tested the camera app, its green light blinking. Lauren's voice drifted from the patio below, sharp and quick. I leaned out, catching her words. "Evie's asking too many questions," she said to Nathan. I stepped onto the porch swing, pretending to sip espresso, and called out, "Lauren, everything okay?" Her head snapped up, her eyes narrowing. "You're imagining things, Evie," she snapped, her tone cold like I was a child making up stories. The gaslighting stung, making me feel small, undervalued, but my defiance flared brighter. She turned away, her heels clicking, leaving me in the moonlight. Am I protecting my home or unmasking a stranger? The question pulsed through me, sharp as the neon light across the street. Nathan's email, Lauren's dismissal, they weren't just slights. They were pieces of a plan, one I'd uncover. I sat on the swing, the espresso's warmth fading in my hands, the cicadas' hum blending with my thoughts. I wasn't the fragile mother they thought. I was Evie Carter, and I'd fight for what was mine. My phone buzzed, the camera app pinging. I opened it, my breath catching. Lauren was in my room right now, her shadow moving across the screen. Lauren's face on my camera froze me. She was stealing my life, page by page. Dawn crept into my guest suite in Tampa, sunlight slipping through the blinds, casting slanted shadows on the hardwood. Birds chirped outside, their song sharp against the thick morning fog that clung to my heart. The home wasn't just bricks. It was my legacy, and Nathan wanted it all. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone in hand, the camera app open. Lauren's image glared back, her fingers flipping through my notebook. Passwords, reminders, my private world. My breath hitched, the violation sinking deep like a stone in still water. I replayed the footage, my hands trembling. Lauren's eyes darted, her lips pursed as she photographed each page. I'd poured my life into Nathan. Late nights at the library, skipping meals to pay his tuition, giving him this house after Daniel's death. Now his wife was rifling through my things as if I were nothing. My anger flared, hot and fierce, drowning the hurt that had lingered since Nathan's public shaming. I set the phone down, my jaw tight, determined to uncover their plan. Carla knocked softly, her silver hair catching the light as she stepped inside. "You look ready to fight," she said, her voice warm but urgent. I showed her the footage, my voice low. "Lauren's spying on me." Carla's eyes narrowed, her hand resting on mine. "My son did the same," she said, her tone heavy with her own estrangement. "Stole my trust, then my peace." She suggested we check Nathan's office again, her resolve sparking mine. We slipped out, the morning fog cloaking us, and crept into his office, the air stale with secrets. Carla rifled through papers while I scanned the desk. My fingers brushed a folder, its label reading property transfer. I opened it, my pulse racing. Inside was a document with my signature, neat and precise. Too perfect. "This isn't mine," I whispered, my stomach churning. Carla leaned over, her breath sharp. "He's rewriting your life, Evie, just like my boy tried." The forged transfer claimed I'd given Nathan full ownership, erasing my rights. My anger surged, imagining Nathan's cold stare, his voice at the barbecue. "You never did anything for me." Back in my suite, I needed something solid, something true. I pulled an old photo album from the shelf, its leather worn from years of love. I flipped through, pausing at a picture of Daniel and Nathan fishing, their smiles bright. A folded letter slipped out, Daniel's handwriting bold. My hands shook as I read, "The home is yours, Evie. Keep it safe." He'd written it before his death, regretting his career focus, ensuring my security. Tears pricked my eyes, his love a shield against Nathan's betrayal. I marched to the patio, where Lauren was watering plants, her movements sharp. "Lauren, we need to talk," I said, holding the letter. Her eyes flicked to it, her jaw tightening. "About what?" she asked, her voice clipped. "You were in my room. I know about the transfer." She sneered, stepping closer. "You're paranoid, Evie. Go rest." Her gaslighting cut deep, making me feel small, undervalued, but I stood tall, my anger afire. "I'm not imagining this," I said, my voice firm. She turned away, her watering can clattering, dismissing me. Did I build a family or a house of lies? The question seared me, Daniel's letter heavy in my hand. Nathan's forgery, Lauren's intrusion. They were stealing my legacy, but I wasn't broken. I sat on my couch, the bird song grounding me as dawn brightened. The forged document and Daniel's letter confirmed Nathan's manipulation, pushing me to act. I wasn't just a mother betrayed, I was a woman ready to fight. My phone buzzed, a voicemail from Jessica. "Mom, I'm coming to Tampa," her voice said, urgent. "We need to talk." Jessica's voicemail sparked hope. I wasn't fighting alone anymore. The mid-June sun poured into my guest suite in Tampa, warming the hardwood floor. I sat on the couch, clutching Daniel's letter, its words a lifeline. "Keep the home yours, Evie." He knew Nathan's heart, even before cancer stole him away. The forged document, Lauren's intrusion, they'd lit a fire in me, but Jessica's voice, urgent and warm, fanned it into resolve. I wasn't just a mother betrayed. I was a woman ready to fight. And now I had an ally. A knock rattled the door and Jessica stepped inside, her auburn hair catching the light. Her eyes, so like Daniel's, softened with regret. "Mom," she said, her voice breaking, "I'm so sorry." She crossed the room, wrapping me in a hug, her perfume a mix of lavender and guilt. "I misunderstood you, back at my 30th birthday," she confessed, pulling back to meet my gaze. "You were working overtime, and I thought you didn't care." I remembered that night, exhaustion heavy in my bones, saving for her future. "I always cared," I whispered, my throat tight. She nodded, fierce determination in her eyes. "I see your strength now. I'm here to help." Her vow lifted me, my anger at Nathan's betrayal shifting to collaborative strength. Carla arrived soon after, her silver hair tucked under a sun hat, her presence steady as a rock. We sat at my small table, the letter and forged transfer spread before us. Carla examined the signature, her fingers tracing its two perfect curves. "It's forged," she said, her voice sharp. "My son tried this, traced my name to take my savings." Her estrangement story, raw and familiar, deepened the ache in my chest. "Don't let Nathan steal your life, Evie," she urged, her eyes blazing. "You're stronger than he knows." I gripped the letter, Carla's words bolstering me, my resolve hardening like clay in the sun. Jessica suggested a walk to clear our heads, and we headed to a nearby park, palm trees swaying in the breeze. Children's laughter echoed from a playground, their joy a stark contrast to our mission. I showed Jessica Daniel's letter, its words a testament to his love. "He wanted me safe," I said, my voice steady. Jessica's jaw tightened, her loyalty fierce. "Nathan's wrong, Mom. We'll fix this." My phone buzzed, a text from Nathan. "Stay out of my business, Mom." The dismissal stung, belittling my fight for truth, but Jessica's hand on mine dulled the pain. "He's scared," she said, her voice firm. We paused by a park bench, the palm fronds rustling above. Across the green, Nathan appeared, striding toward his car, a folder labeled "Property" tucked under his arm. My pulse quickened, the sight confirming his deceit. "What's he planning?" I murmured, my eyes locked on him. Jessica squeezed my hand, her voice low. "We'll find out." We walked on, the park's vibrancy fueling our resolve, the children's laughter a promise of hope. I wasn't alone anymore. Jessica and Carla were my shield, Daniel's love my guide. Was Daniel's love my shield all along? The question pulsed through me, as warm as the sun on my face. Nathan's text, his folder. They were cracks in his facade, and I'd pry them open. Back in my suite, I set the letter on my nightstand, its weight grounding me. Jessica's alliance, Carla's urgency. They gave me strength to confront Nathan's lies. I wasn't just fighting for my home, I was fighting for my worth. I tidied the suite, my hands brushing under the couch. Something cold grazed my fingers, a small recording device, its red light blinking. I pressed play and Nathan's voice filled the room. "She won't suspect." My breath caught, the device a chilling proof of his betrayal. Nathan's voice on the recording chilled me. He was plotting to erase my life. The storm rolled over Tampa, rain pelting Nathan's living room windows, thunder rumbling like a warning. A flickering lamp cast a tense glow, shadows dancing across the hardwood. I stood in the doorway, the forged property transfer in my hand, its paper trembling. Daniel's photo smiled from my nightstand back in the suite, but here, in Nathan's house, I felt his absence keenly. Nathan wanted that photo gone, just like he wanted me gone. My anger, stoked by his lies, burned righteous now, a fire I couldn't douse. I stepped forward, my voice steady. "Nathan, we need to talk about this." I held up the transfer, its forged signature glaring. He froze on the couch, his eyes narrowing, rain drumming behind him. Lauren perched nearby, her fingers tight around a glass, her face pale. "What's that, Mom?" Nathan asked, his tone sharp. "You know," I said, my heart pounding. "You forged my name, stole my house." His jaw clenched, and he stood snatching a framed photo from the mantel, me and Daniel laughing at a picnic. "You're holding me back, Mom!" he shouted, tearing it in half. The rip echoed, louder than the thunder, stunning me. I saw Daniel's overtime shifts, his tired smiles for Nathan's future, shredded in that moment. My chest heaved, the betrayal cutting deep. "That was your father," I whispered, my voice breaking. Nathan's eyes flashed, and he stepped closer, his hand shoving me against the wall. The jolt rattled my bones, my hip aching. Jessica burst in, her auburn hair wild, her voice a roar. "How dare you hurt her?" she shouted, pulling me away. Lily, hovering by the stairs, sobbed, "Why are you so mean to Grandma?" Her 15-year-old voice cracked, her love for my stories clashing with her father's cruelty. I fumbled for my phone, playing the recording device's audio. Nathan's voice, cold, saying, "She won't suspect." Lauren gasped, her glass clinking on the table, her complicity exposed. Nathan's face twisted, his desperation raw, tied to his failed condo deal. "You don't get it," he yelled, but I saw only the boy I'd raised, now a stranger. Jessica held my arm, her fierce loyalty a shield, born from her regret over misunderstanding my sacrifices. Lily's tears, her vocal defense anchored me, her loyalty a light in the storm. I left Nathan's house, rain soaking my blouse, and returned to my suite. Carla knocked soon after, her silver hair damp, her eyes urgent. "I heard what happened," she said, sitting beside me. "My son broke my trust, too, stole my savings, left me alone." Her estrangement story mirrored mine, her pain fueling her support. "Get a lawyer, Evie, reclaim your home." I nodded, my hands steady, vowing to fight. The rain outside mirrored my resolve, each drop a promise to protect my legacy. Did I raise a son or a thief who'd break my heart? The question seared me, Nathan's cruelty, tearing Daniel's photo, pushing me, igniting unwavering resolve. I wasn't just a mother scorned, I was a woman reclaiming her worth. I sat by the window, the storm's rhythm calming me, my anger a quiet, powerful force. I rummaged through my closet, seeking order, and found a small safe I'd forgotten, its lock dusty. The key from Nathan's coat fit perfectly. Inside was his diary, its pages filled with damning words, plans to seize my accounts, my home, my life. Nathan's diary confessed his greed. I held the truth, ready to strike. Morning sunlight sliced through the blinds of Susan Patel's law office in Tampa, sharp and unyielding. Jazz music drifted from a neighbor's radio, its smooth notes clashing with the storm in my chest. I sat across from Susan, Nathan's diary open on her desk, its pages a map of his betrayal. Daniel's letter, tucked in my purse, was my anchor. "Keep the home yours," he'd written, and I would, no matter the cost. My anger, raw from Nathan's cruelty, tearing Daniel's photo, shoving me, had hardened into resolve. I wasn't just Evie Carter, a mother scorned. I was a woman reclaiming her worth. Back in my guest suite earlier, Rosa had knocked, her dark eyes scanning the room. "They've been searching," she said, pointing to scratches on a small safe I'd found. Her voice, soft but firm, carried the weight of her own family's betrayal. Her brother had stolen her inheritance years ago. "I know that look, Evie," she added, her hand on mine. "You're fighting for what's yours." Her loyalty, born from shared pain, warmed me. I hugged her, my resolve growing, the scratches on the safe a silent accusation. Someone, Nathan Lauren, had been prying into my life. Susan leaned forward in her office, her glasses glinting. "Let's see what you've got," she said, her tone professional but warm. I spread out the evidence. The recording of Nathan's voice plotting to steal my accounts, his diary detailing his greed, Daniel's letter proving the home was mine. Susan's eyes narrowed, her fingers tracing the forged signature on the property transfer. "This is fraud, Evie," she said, her voice urgent. "My own family fought over an estate. Trust me, I know the stakes." Her empathy, rooted in her past disputes, fueled her determination. "Sell the home," she urged. "Take control before Nathan does." My heart raced, the idea bold but right. I nodded, my resolve solidifying into commanding strength. I left Susan's office, the jazz music following me like a battle hymn. Back at the suite, Diane stopped by, her gray curls bouncing as she hugged me. "You're tougher than those kids we taught," she said, her smile warm, recalling our teaching days at the local school. She pulled out her laptop, ready to list the house secretly as a realtor. "This is your fresh start, Evie," she said, her pride in my strength clear. I smiled, grateful for her support, my fingers steady as I handed her the property details. A fist pounded my door, shattering the quiet. "Open up, Mom!" Nathan's voice boomed. I froze, Diane's eyes widening. I opened the door, and Nathan loomed there, his face red. "You're nothing but a leech!" he shouted, his words venomous, cutting deeper than his push had. "Stop meddling with my house!" My chest tightened, his abuse echoing Lauren's gaslighting, making me feel worthless. But I stood tall, my voice calm. "It's not your house, Nathan." I slammed the door, locking it, and logged into my bank accounts, changing every password. My hands didn't shake. I was done being undervalued. Am I saving my legacy or destroying his lies? The question burned in me, as clear as the sunlight through my window. Nathan's diary, Susan's plan, Diane's help. They were my weapons, and I'd use them. I sat by the window, the jazz music's rhythm steadying my pulse. My preparations, legal evidence, the secret sale, set the stage for a showdown. I wasn't just a mother. I was a force, backed by allies who saw my worth. Lauren's car pulled up outside, her silhouette visible through the blinds. She stepped out, her eyes locking on my window. "You'll regret this," she whispered, her voice carrying on the breeze, her glare a promise of more to come. Lauren's threat echoed, but my truth was sharper. Nathan's lies would burn tonight. The Tampa evening settled around Nathan's living room, a soft drizzle tapping the windows, the storm's fury spent. Slow dancing music floated from a neighbor's yard, its gentle rhythm clashing with the tension inside. A single lamp glowed, casting a reflective mood over the hardwood floor. I stood by the fireplace, Daniel's letter in my hand, its words a steel rod in my spine. "The home is yours, Evie." Nathan couldn't hide from it now. My resolve, forged through his cruelty, his torn photo, his push, his venomous words, had transformed me. I wasn't just a mother. I was a force of justice, ready to unleash the truth. I called the family meeting, my voice steady. "Everyone sit," I said, my eyes sweeping the room. Nathan slouched on the couch, his face tight, hiding the shame of his failed condo deal. Lauren perched beside him, her fingers twisting a napkin, her fear of financial ruin palpable. Jessica stood by the door, her auburn hair framing a fierce gaze, her remorse for past misunderstandings fueling her loyalty. Lily, my granddaughter, hovered near me, her 15-year-old eyes wide, her love for my stories anchoring her to me. Carla sat in an armchair, her silver hair glinting, her own estrangement driving her support. I held the letter aloft, its paper crisp. "Daniel wrote this," I said. "The home is mine." Nathan's eyes flickered with guilt, but he snapped. "It's mine now, Mom." His defiance cracked the air, but I saw the boy I'd raised, lost in greed. Jessica stepped forward, her voice a blade. "You stole from Mom," she shouted, her hands clenched. Nathan's face reddened, but Lauren cut in, her voice shrill. "We were securing our future," she cried, defending the forgery, dismissing my pain as if my sacrifices, late nights, empty plates, a gifted home, meant nothing. The injustice seared me, her words a public slap, escalating the betrayal. I pulled the forged will from my purse, its pages naming Nathan's sole heir, my signature a lie. "You faked this too," I said, holding it up. The room gasped, Lily's sob breaking the silence. Lauren's napkin tore in her hands, her desperation raw, Nathan's panic a shadow across his face. Lily rushed to me, her arms tight around my waist. "You're my hero, Grandma," she cried, her voice thick, her loyalty a beacon. My phone buzzed, a text from Diane flashing. "Sale finalized tomorrow." My heart surged, the sale my trump card signaling my upper hand. Carla grinned, her eyes bright. "You've got this, Evie," she said, her triumph echoing her own fight against her son's betrayal. I nodded, my confidence commanding the room, my allies rallied. Jessica's pride, Lily's defiance, Carla's strength. They were my armor, forged in love and truth. Can a son's greed erase a mother's love? The question hung heavy, my gaze locked on Nathan. His lies, forged documents, stolen moments, couldn't dim what I'd built. I stepped outside, the drizzle cooling my face, my heart steady. The slow dancing music wrapped around me, a reminder of simpler times with Daniel. The letter and forged will had exposed Nathan's deceit, setting the stage for a public showdown. I wasn't just fighting for my home, I was fighting for my legacy, my worth. Nathan followed me, his steps hesitant, rain glistening on his hair. "I didn't mean it," he whispered, his voice barely audible, a flicker of the boy I'd known. Was he truly sorry? My heart wavered, but my resolve held firm, the truth too sharp to soften. Nathan's whisper of regret lingered, but tonight's party would burn his lies to ash. The Tampa night hummed with life in Nathan's backyard, the rescheduled celebration for Lily's 15th birthday in full swing. Tiki torches flickered, their flames dancing in the early summer breeze, casting stark shadows across the lawn. The warm scent of apple pie wafted from a dessert table, mingling with laughter from neighbors and the clink of glasses. I stood at the edge of the crowd, Daniel's letter tucked in my pocket, its words my torch. "Keep the home yours, Evie." I'd light the truth for all to see, my resolve a blazing fire. Nathan's greed, his forged documents, his cruel push had forged me, too, into a woman commanding justice. I stepped forward, my heart steady, and raised my voice. "Everyone, listen!" The chatter died, faces turning, tiki torches illuminating their surprise. Nathan froze by the grill, his spatula mid-air, his face paling as he sensed the storm. Lauren, beside him, clutched a drink, her eyes darting. I held Daniel's letter aloft, its paper catching the light. "Nathan stole my home," I declared, my voice ringing clear. "He forged my name, took what I gave out of love." Guests gasped, whispers rippling like the breeze. I detailed the transfer, the lies, my sacrifices, late nights, empty wallets. A mother's heart poured into a son now lost to his failed condo deal. Nathan's face twisted, his desperation erupting. "You're a leech, Mom!" he screamed, lunging toward me, his hand shoving my shoulder. I stumbled, pain flaring in my hip, but I stood firm, the crowd's gasps fueling my strength. Lauren shouted, "He deserved the house!" Her voice shrill, defending his theft as if my decades of love meant nothing. Her justification, paired with Nathan's abuse, was a public wound, outraging those around me. Jessica, my daughter, surged forward, her auburn hair flying, blocking Nathan. "You're done," she growled, her pride in me fierce, born from her remorse for missing my sacrifices. Lily, my granddaughter, pushed through, her eyes blazing. "I'm proud of you, Grandma," she yelled, her courage a beacon, her love for my stories now a shield. I pulled my phone from my purse, my fingers steady, and played the recording from Nathan's device. "She won't suspect." His voice, cold and calculating, planning to steal my accounts, stunned the crowd. Lauren's glass slipped, shattering on the patio, her panic raw. Carla, standing nearby, grinned, her silver hair catching the torchlight, her triumph echoing her own fight against estrangement. Susan Patel, my lawyer, nodded from the sidelines, her satisfaction rooted in her family's disputes. Diane Rivera, my old teaching friend, beamed, her pride in my strength clear. What would you do if your own child forged your name? And tonight, you finally had the chance to expose it in front of everyone? If your heart's racing like mine, drop a 6 in the comments. Because what I say next doesn't just burn lies, it sets me free. I walked to the fire pit, the crowd parting, and held up the forged transfer. "I sold the house today," I announced, my voice unwavering. "You get nothing, Nathan." I dropped the paper into the flames, its edges curling, the fire symbolizing my freedom. The crowd murmured, Lily's cheer rising above them, her defiance a spark. Nathan lunged, but Jessica held him back, her stance unyielding. I stepped back, the apple pie's scent mingling with smoke, my heart soaring. My victory wasn't just the sale. It was reclaiming my self-worth, exposing Nathan's betrayal before all. Did I lose a son or find my strength? The question glowed within me, as bright as the fire pit's flames. Nathan's desperation, Lauren's complicity, they'd isolated themselves, while Jessica's vindication, Lily's courage, and my allies' support rebuilt my world. Carla's joy, Susan's nod, Diane's smile, they tied to their own stories, their belief in me a new foundation. Lauren's eyes met mine through the crowd, her face pale. "This isn't over," she whispered, her voice slicing through the night, a promise of more to come. The ashes of Nathan's lies settled. My new bungalow called, promising peace. Morning sunlight danced on the coral walls of my beachside bungalow in Tampa, the ocean waves crashing gently beyond the porch. A rose bush bloomed vibrantly by the steps, its petals a vivid pink against the salt-worn wood. I stood in the doorway, a box of books in my arms, the sea breeze tugging at my hair. Daniel's words guided me. "Find your peace, Evie." I was home, at last, liberated from Nathan's betrayal, my heart light with serene strength. The fire pit's flames, where I'd burned his forged document, still glowed in my memory, a symbol of my triumph. I set the box down, unpacking my life into this new space. The rosebush outside seemed to nod, a sign of new beginnings. I sat at a small desk, pulling out my will, its pages crisp. I revised it, leaving my estate to Rosa, my loyal friend and a charity for elderly women, their struggles echoing mine. As I wrote, I recalled teaching with Diane, our laughter-filling classrooms, her support now a cornerstone of my strength. My pen moved steadily, each word a claim to my self-worth, my freedom cemented in ink. The doorbell chimed and Jessica swept in, her auburn hair bright, her smile warm. Lily followed, her 15-year-old eyes sparkling, clutching a hand-drawn card. Carla, Diane, and Rosa arrived, their voices a chorus of joy. We gathered in the garden, the waves a soft backdrop, and planted a young oak tree, its roots symbolizing our new family. "You're my hero, Grandma," Lily said, handing me her card, a drawing of us reading stories, hearts above our heads. I hugged her, my throat tight, her hopefulness a gift. Rosa, her dark eyes glistening, shared her story of family betrayal, her brother's theft leaving scars. "You gave me trust again, Evie," she said, her gratitude deep. I squeezed her hand, our bond forged in pain and loyalty. We laughed over lemonade, Carla's wit sharp, her warmth born from her own estrangement. "You've built something real," she said, her pride lifting me. Diane, her gray curls bouncing, reminisced about our teaching days, her camaraderie a comfort. Jessica, Her remorse for past misunderstandings faded, promised regular visits, her connection to me deep and true. The tree stood firm, its leaves rustling, a testament to our love. Later, alone in the bungalow, I found a note slipped under the door. "Sorry," in Nathan's scrawl. The word stirred brief pain, his face, panicked, guilty, flashing in my mind. But I set it aside, choosing peace over his remorse, the waves outside soothing my soul, his greed, his push, his lies. They couldn't touch me here. Jessica's promise, Lily's card, my allies' laughter, they were my family now, grounding me in autonomy. Is peace the family I've always wanted? The question bloomed in me, as vibrant as the rose bush. I stepped onto the porch swing, the ocean's rhythm a lullaby. The tree planting, the gathering, they'd redefined my life, my liberation complete. I wasn't just a mother who'd lost a son, I was Evie, whole and free. I opened my journal, its blank page glowing in the sunlight, ready to write my next chapter. My journal lay open, my heart full. Nathan's note couldn't dim my light. The late summer sun bathed my Tampa bungalow, its golden rays spilling across the coral-painted walls. Farmers' market tulips stood proud in a vase on the porch, their vibrant hues a mirror of my newfound peace. Jazz music hummed softly from a radio, its mellow notes weaving through the air, blending with the gentle crash of ocean waves beyond the rosebush. I leaned against the doorframe, my bare feet cool on the weathered wood. Daniel's love, a quiet pulse in my soul. His letter had set me free, a beacon through Nathan's betrayal, his cold dismissal, his forged documents, his cruel push. Now I wrote my own story, page by page, my life blooming radiant with self-love, a testament to my journey from hurt to liberation. I drove to the Tampa Community Library, the hum of anticipation in my chest. Kids' laughter spilled from the open doors as I arrived, their voices a bright chorus. "Miss Evie," they called, crowding around for story time, their eyes wide with delight. I settled into a worn chair, a picture book in hand, and read a tale of brave raccoons outsmarting a fox, their giggles warming me like sunlight. A girl with pigtails leaned close, whispering, "You're the best storyteller." I smiled, my heart swelling. In the window's reflection, my face glowed, no longer shadowed by Nathan's scorn. I'd walked through fire, his lies, Lauren's gaslighting, the public shaming at Lily's party, and emerged whole. Each step, from burning the forged document to planting a tree in my garden, had rebuilt me. I hugged the girl, her small arms grounding me, and felt thriving, rooted in this community that saw me. Back at the bungalow, I stepped onto the porch, the ocean's rhythm a soothing lullaby. Jessica's car pulled up, her auburn hair catching the light as she climbed out, Lily bounding behind her. "Mom, we've got big plans," Jessica said, her smile warm, her voice free of the remorse that once weighed her down. She'd misunderstood my absence at her 30th birthday, thinking I didn't care when I was working overtime for her future. Now our bond was unbreakable. Lily, her 15-year-old face alight, waved a notebook. "We're going to St. Augustine this fall," she chirped, her adoration clear, aspiring to the strength she saw in me. I laughed, fetching a pitcher of lemonade, and led them to the porch swing. I set up my easel, watercolor brush in hand, Buddy curled at my feet, his soft snores a comfort. The tulip's sweet scent drifted as I painted the rose bush, its pink petals vivid against the sea's blue. My brush moved freely, capturing the life I'd claimed. Lily sketched beside me, her pencil scratching, her hopefulness a spark. "You're unstoppable, Grandma," she said, her voice earnest. Jessica sipped lemonade, her joy deep, our reconciliation a quiet victory. "You've built something real," she said, her eyes soft. We talked of the trip, cobblestone streets, old forts, shared laughter, and I felt my liberation deepen, my family redefined by love, not betrayal. Evening brought my memoir workshop, the bungalow's living room cozy with lamplight, jazz music a gentle backdrop. Carla, Rosa, and a handful of neighbors settled in, their faces eager, teacups in hand. I stood by the window, the ocean's waves a steady pulse, and shared my story. I spoke of Nathan's greed, his forged will, his venomous words, "You're a leech," and my fight to reclaim my worth. I described the fire pit's flames, consuming his lies, and the tree we planted, its roots my new beginning. "I chose me," I said, my voice steady, and the room stilled, eyes glistening. Carla, her silver hair catching the light, clapped, her playful pride born from her own estrangement. "You're a force, Evie," she said, her contentment a gift. Rosa, her dark eyes warm, spoke of her brother's betrayal, stealing her inheritance. "You gave me courage," she said, her fulfillment tied to our friendship. I smiled, their support a tapestry, weaving my strength. Later, alone in my bedroom, I opened my journal, its pages a canvas for my heart. The jazz faded, the waves' rhythm filling the silence. I wrote, "I bloomed because I chose me." The words, a quiet surprise, a micro twist of inner strength I hadn't expected. My journey, volunteering at the library, painting under the sun, connecting with Jessica, Lily, Carla, Rosa, sealed my liberation. Nathan's note, "Sorry," lay in a drawer, its pain a faint echo, unable to touch this radiant peace. His absence, once a wound, was now a choice. My family redefined by those who saw me. I stepped onto the porch, the sunrise painting the sky in pinks and golds, the tulips nodding in the breeze. Did I find myself, or let myself bloom? The question shimmered, as soft as the light on the waves. I sat on the swing, my journal closed, the sunrise mirroring my peace. My life, once tethered to Nathan's greed, was mine, open like the sea before me, a story I'd write with every dawn. The sunrise lingered over my Tampa bungalow, its golden hues stretching across the porch where I sat, journal in hand. The farmer's market tulips had faded, replaced by vibrant marigolds, their fiery petals a nod to the late summer's warmth. Jazz music still hummed from the radio, a soft companion to the ocean waves crashing beyond the rosebush. I'd closed one chapter with Nathan's betrayal, his lies, his push, the fire pit's cleansing flames. But life, I'd learned, kept writing new ones. Daniel's love, his letter's promise, had freed me, but it was my choice to bloom that kept me whole. A month had passed since the memoir workshop, and my days had settled into a rhythm of purpose. The library's story time had grown, kids now spilling onto the floor, their parents joining in, drawn by Miss Evie's tales. One boy, Timmy, always lingered, his shy grin reminding me of Nathan at 6, before greed took root. I'd started a book club, too, neighbors gathering weekly to share stories over iced tea, their voices weaving a community I hadn't known I needed. My watercolors piled up, the rosebush a recurring muse, each stroke a claim to my creativity. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving, my peace radiant, a light no shadow could dim. Jessica and Lily's visit last week had filled the bungalow with laughter. We'd planned our St. Augustine trip, mapping out historic forts and seaside cafes, Lily sketching our route in her notebook. "You're my role model, Grandma," she'd said, her eyes bright, her aspiration a gift. Jessica, her remorse long gone, had hugged me tight, her joy a mirror of our bond. "You've shown me what strength is," she whispered, her voice warm. They'd left with promises of weekly calls, their closeness a thread in my new family tapestry. Carla stopped by often, her wit sharper than ever, her estrangement softened by our friendship. "You're living proof we can start over," she said yesterday, sipping lemonade, her contentment a shared victory. Rosa, too, had become a fixture, her gratitude for my trust deepening our talks. She'd joined the memoir workshop, her story of betrayal now a source of strength. Diane, my teaching partner from years past, brought over peach cobbler last weekend, reminiscing about our classroom antics, her camaraderie a steady anchor. Together, they'd helped me plant more than a tree. They'd rooted me in a life I'd chosen. As I stood on my porch swing, the Tampa sunrise painting the sky, I felt a peace I'd fought hard to claim. Daniel's letter, my guiding light through Nathan's betrayal. From the sting of his cold words to the fire of uncovering his lies, I learned that family isn't just blood. It's the love we choose to nurture. In life, we may face those who undervalue us, but by holding fast to our worth, we find strength to redefine our bonds. Like the jasmine blooming outside my window, love can grow through cracks if we tend it with care. This journey taught me to forgive, not for others, but for my own heart's freedom. If my story resonates with you, please share your thoughts or memories in the comments. Your voice, like mine, deserves to be heard.